I'm sure you'll all agree that that is a brilliant and moving documentary. It's the second time that I've seen it, and I find it no less moving. There are so many themes that come out of that documentary that are just so challenging in terms of trying to address, because as we can see, these families are struggling for justice, and they struggle for so long, and they see so little action, and of course what they see rather than assistance is obstruction from organisations such as the IPCC. One theme that I want to focus on, and which also is a theme from Ken Fero, he's the director of this particular film. He's also done a documentary called Injustice back in 2000 that was actually banned from cinemas in the UK due to threats from police lawyers, which also documented deaths in police custody. And it's so tragic, and Ken Fero, I actually met him a few months ago, he was speaking to me about this, that those same themes from that documentary 12 years ago are still so relevant today, and that is just tragic in the number of lives that have been lost since then. And one of the themes that I think is carried on from that documentary, Injustice, to this documentary, Who Polices the Police, is this dominance of the police narrative. Okay, and this dominance of the police narrative that is emboldened by the IPCC. In terms of, I mean, the woman from the IPCC, I mean, I'm sure that everybody would agree that, you know, that she had the interests of the family nowhere near the top of her priorities. What her interests were in terms of, well, her priority was to protect the police. That was her sole role in terms of the first action of the police in that case was to put out a press statement that demonised the victim. And we've seen that with Mark Duggan, we've seen that with Anthony Granger, and that has been an all too common feature of the first police response. In terms of why I'm speaking up here, my name is Mark Duggan, and I'm actually one of the organisers of this event. And I want to touch upon a second theme, which was the latter theme of this documentary, which was that of organised resistance. Okay? Because I have been involved in a variety of campaigns in the last few years in terms of United Against Fascism. I've been to demonstrations, I've been involved in anti-cuts work and demonstrations, but most importantly and most relevant to this meeting, I've been involved in community work in addressing police harassment, police intimidation and police violence and racism in communities. And one of the themes that we want this meeting to address is this issue of organised resistance, because when I speak to individuals in this area and in other areas that tell me about them being strip searched in the back of police vans, when they tell me about being threatened by police officers, when they're essentially assaulted without any action, without any recourse for actions, what they tell me is that they feel powerless. Okay? They feel powerless because the state can act in a way that gives them no recourse for action. And what we are suggesting that we do in this meeting tonight is hopefully set off the idea or set off the inception of a Greater Manchester or a Northwest organised resistance to the police in terms of a monitoring group similar to those that exist in London, okay? Because as a collective we are much more stronger than when the police can just pick off individuals in isolation, okay? So it's our hope and ambition to actually move from this powerless situation to a powerful situation in the form of a community group. And I hope that these issues or our plan to actually get this campaign off the ground could be brought out in the discussion. And in terms of getting this campaign off the ground, I just want to actually read out a statement of support from Sam and Marcia Rigg, who, the sisters of Sean Rigg, who died in police custody. We invited them to this meeting tonight, and unfortunately they couldn't make it, but they have sent on a message of support and thanks and solidarity. So I'm just going to read this out if you can bear with me for interference. Okay, so this is from Sam and Marcia Rigg. We are unable to attend this screening, but send our thanks and support to the organisers, individuals and justice campaigns who are here to share in our struggle for justice and change. We currently live under a government that allows agents of the state to neglect those that they appear to protect, kill with impunity and literally get away with murder. There is a long history of deaths in police custody, and we have learned from the past that one has to fight relentlessly for justice to prevail, that the one thing that the state are afraid of is a united people who are organised and clear about their demands. Let us continue to build a national campaign against the injustice of these deaths in custody, police brutality, and the lack of proper independent scrutiny and accountability. When there is no justice, there can be no peace. In solidarity, the Son Rigg Justice and Change campaign. As I'm sure that you'll all agree, those are powerful and moving words from a family that is still grieving and, of course, still striving to achieve some form of justice. At this point, I just want to introduce a speaker, and before I do that, I just want to quickly highlight that what we need to consider, and what I've considered in my activism work, is that these issues are united issues, okay, in terms of when we look at the police and how the police act with impunity. These are united issues. When they police young people in areas such as this in a certain way, when they police the young people of Salford in a certain way, in terms of a spark of the riots there, that is a connected phenomenon to the struggle in terms of holding the police to account. When we think about the police tasering a blind man, okay, this is a connected phenomenon. What we need to do is connect these dots together and then actually unite as a campaign that says no, that we aren't going to just sit back and let the police treat us and then deal with us with impunity, okay, that we are set up as a challenge to the police. And at that point, I'd just like to introduce a spokesperson from a campaign that has actually been fighting for more than 20 years in order to seek justice from a whole litany of allegations against the police, which have now finally come to the surface after concerted pressures from brilliant campaigners. Her name is Sheila Coleman, and she's from the Hillsborough Justice Campaign, and she's going to speak for about 15 minutes.